Great, thank you. Good morning. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Larry Clay and I'll be chairing today's session. Panel members today are Carol Martin, Jordan Allison, Mehdi Marziari, and our Deputy Secretary Treasurer is Simon Lamb, and his staff are here accompanying us. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will be making their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx. The meetings are now streamed on the City of Toronto Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelists when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Those participating through WebEx are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body will be sending notifications and appeals updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal the Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. Today I'll call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you're approaching the 5-minute mark. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer an application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we call first on speakers in the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only, this will mark the end of the discussion. The applicant will then be taken into committee. The application will be taken into committee for a decision. I understand there are no minutes to confirm today.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that is correct.
Are there any declarations of interest from panel or staff? Seeing none, Are there any deferral requests?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have two this morning. Would you like to go through them now?
Sure. Are they here? Are the applicants here for either of them?
One is, but we'll start with number 2,
Okay.
which is 19 Brook Avenue. I believe the agent is online.
Great. Thank you very much. Application number 2 is 19 Brook Avenue. It's an application to construct a single-family dwelling with a rear deck and walk-up. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, revised site plan dated February 27th, 2024, support materials and comparables from the agent, an email from community planning dated February 16th, the matrix from urban forestry dated February 29th, an advisory memo from urban forestry. We have four letters of opposition from 48 McNairn and another letter from 46 McNairn. Do we have the agent?
We will unmute the agent, but through you, Mr. Chair, as well, we have a neighbor speaker in person as well.
Okay,
So we'll go ahead and unmute the agent now.
thank you.
Ali Shakeri, 326 Shepherd Avenue East. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, I'd like to ask for a deferral for this case.
Hold on. If you could just give us your name and address, please.
Ali Shakeri, 326 Shepherd Avenue East.
Okay. All right. You're asking for a deferral?
Yes, sir. The reason is there is a missing variance on the front yard, which we need to include in the agenda.
Okay. Thank you very much. Our speaker? Good morning. If we could get your name and address, please.
My name is Ruth Dory at 48 McNairn Avenue.
Okay. You have heard the agent ask for a deferral because there is a missing variance. That's
Right.
pretty much automatic for us, but if you wanted to speak to the item, we're not going to be speaking to the merits of the item, but just to the request for deferral or not.
All right. Well, this deferral will add another variance to the RD6. There'll be 7 now. And I would hope within this new application for 19 Brook that there would be, that the variances concerning the length and the height of the new house will be addressed to conform to the bylaws. And also I hope that the green space and trees will be preserved to provide absolute privacy between the neighbors.
Okay, ma'am. So you're okay with a deferral?
When will it be deferred to?
It will be rescheduled at the earliest possible time once the additional variance is brought in. So you will have another opportunity to review the application, and this will be before the committee. You'll have an opportunity to speak at that time.
Okay, so I'll have the opportunity to speak to the full application at
Yes,
that time.
that's correct.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you very much. Has the applicant spoken to you in advance of this?
No,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Panel, any questions? Okay. If we have the agent back, please.
Yes, sir. I'm present.
You did hear the resident from 48 McNairn indicate that she has had no discussions with you. I would think if we defer this, then it would be helpful if you were to approach and have a discussion with your neighbor on this application.
Yes, indeed. I will bring that to my client's attention, their neighbors, and I will make sure that they conduct this dialogue.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, we're in committee. Panel, we have a motion or a request to defer. Mehdi?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to defer this application as per applicant's request to include the missing variance and also give the applicant the opportunity to discuss the issues with the neighbor.
Great. Thanks very much. A seconder? Jordan?
I'll second.
All in favor? That's carried. You have your deferral, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks
Thank
so
you very
much.
much, ma'am, for coming in. We go back to item number 1.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have one more deferral.
Is the person here?
The person is not here. We have spoken to the agent applicant. The item needs to be deferred because there was an error on staff's part in describing the public notice. So the applicant owner knows that it's going to be deferred. So we can just have, there's no other speakers. It's item number 10, St. Hilda.
There were 2 letters of opposition on this one, so was anyone registered to speak to this item?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are no other speakers.
So your advice would be, can we deal with it now, or should we?
We can deal with the deferral now.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we go to item number 10, 41 St. Hilda's Avenue. This is an application to construct a rear 3-story addition to the existing dwelling. Panel has before it a copy of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, presentation materials from the agent, a tree protection bylaw declaration, and a ravine and natural features protection memo dated February 29th. There were 2 letters in opposition from 43 St. Hilda's and 1 letter with no name or address. So the agent's not on the line,
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
so we can deal with this in absentia.
That's correct,
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
thanks very much. Okay, panel, we have a request for deferral for item number 10.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll bring a motion to defer the subject application to allow the public notice to be recirculated.
Great, thanks very much. Do we have a seconder? Mehdi? All in favor? That motion is carried. Number 10 is deferred. Now, do we go back to item number 1?
That's correct, Mr. Chair. We can start with item number
you very
1
much.
now. Thank you.
Okay, item number 1, 210 Roselawn Avenue. This is a consent to sever into 2 lots and also to construct 2 new 3-story detached homes. Panel has before it draft R plan, copy of plan, survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, cover memo from MXL Engineering, memo from Engineering Construction Services, a memo from Urban Forestry dated February 26, recommending refusal. Memo from Community Planning dated February 20th, an email from Heritage Planning dated November 30th, 2023, and an email from the TRCA dated December 4th, 2023. We have 9 form letters in support from 135 Miranda, 1212, 1208, 1206, 1189, 1200, 1195, 1199, and 1204 Roselawn. Do we have the agent?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, committee members. My name is Burnett from MXL Engineering and located at 1649 St. Clair Avenue West, and will be the agent for this application.
Great, thanks very much. You have 5 minutes to present your application to us.
Absolutely. So I'll start to say that this was quite an intense project. We had a few iterations with, I would say, a few creative ideas. I would like to request staff, if possible, to give an overhead view of Miranda Avenue, which is pretty much, let's say, four lots away from this subject property. So Miranda Avenue, it's a small cul-de-sac that actually has a bunch of, I'll say, a certain number of existing semi-detached homes. And what we try to do is like we get the inspiration on this Miranda Street and try to do better. So in trying to do better, we have a few iterations, and we are aware of TRCA, heritage, forestry. Speaking about forestry, it's an interesting forestry actually here. It's stating that we're gonna have to remove 1 tree at the front. Yes, indeed. But as you can see from the picture, this particular lot, it's bounded by Roselawn Avenue and Castlefield. So if we decide to have a garage in the backyard, we'll have to destroy the tree at the back. So we have to pick our battles. And through the iterations, we decide to have the garage at the front. As you mentioned, we have a lot of neighbors in support, especially the one to the east, Mr. Tony, and one to, or actually to the east, Mr. Greg, and to the west, Mr. Tony. So 1208, 1212. So both owners are fully aware. There were discussion with the homeowner and the adjacent neighbors just to make sure that we are within tune with the neighborhood. So I would like to note that the variances are very look-alike for the 2 lots. We have no height variance, no length, no depth. So to us as designers, it's a little bit odd to have these heights, these lengths, and these sizes, and we, of course, we can't comply. It's really difficult to comply with the FSIs, like what do we have for variance number 1 and number 4. So when we talk about wall heights and FSIs and GFAs, it's really hard to comply. So all the variances that we have, it's 8 of them. It looks like a big number, but all of them, they are truly, truly minor. We try our best to actually avoid some of them, but every time we try to take one out, another one will be created. So this is the best we can do. And again, we're trying to mimic the existing houses that they are at Miranda Street, which is just around the corner. And it's a very straightforward application. Again, I think it meets the 4 tests. It's a minor in nature. It's desirable. It's already existing in the neighborhood. It's in keep with the Toronto zoning bylaw. So one thing to note is that planning is in agreement, and I believe it's about it. So if committee members have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Thanks very much. So you are aware, of course, of the forestry recommendation to refuse?
Absolutely, we are.
And that
But
is-
however, I would like to, sorry to interrupt. I would like to note, Mr. Chair, that they say on the second paragraph, in case the committee applies, we have to go through the process. So again, they are cognizant that we did our best. We tried to move the driveway to the other side. There is no way, either one way or the other, we're gonna get caught.
And just to be clear, this is the tree in the front that you're planning to remove. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Panel, any questions? Jordan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just so I understand correctly, with respect to the existing condition, there is access for parking through both the front off of Roselawn and Castlefield currently, with both trees there?
Mr. Chair, yes, that is correct. So this is a very, very unique lot because it has one major street and let's say and a side street. So it's 2 streets. You're absolutely correct. So again, talking about iterations, we were thinking about the garage at the back, but I actually convinced the homeowner so we can provide more landscaping at the back, keep the site greener, and somehow encompass the garage on the front.
But currently, there is access to parking. There's 2 points of access to the site for parking, one through the front and one from the rear. So my question is, why couldn't both of those existing conditions be utilized to facilitate the parking for each of the consent?
It's a great question. So the trees are actually aligned, and what we're going to do, there is an existing garage that is going to be removed. So the garage is going to be removed, and both garages will be at the front. So if we do 2 garages at the back, the tree at the back has to be destroyed, has to be removed. And the same applies if we do the garages at the front, the tree at the front will have to go. So my option, and again, as a designer and understanding the landscaping and the issues that we have with runoff, and so I would strongly recommend to do the greener at the back. And if you notice on the plans, we propose a driveway at the front, but we do it with permeable pavers. So we try to just create the best option here in terms of being, let's say, environmental friendly as possible. We do understand that we have to take down a tree, but there is a replantation, right? So a new tree will go at the front as well.
I'm a little bit confused because it seems you have an existing entrance at the back and you have an existing entrance at the front, and the trees are there. So why do you have to have both entrances at the front or both entrances at the back? Why couldn't you maintain the existing condition whereby you have access from the back, access from the front, and you maintain both of the trees?
Because this is 2 lots. We are doing 2 lots. We're severing the lot in 2. And when we sever it, they're going to get affected.
They not divided.
Because the trees are aligned, right? So the lot to the east, let's call it, it has a tree at the front and a tree at the back. So this is part 2. So if you look at part 2, that's where the trees are. Part 1 is not affected at all. Part 1 will not have a tree neither at the back, neither at the front. It's part 2. So part 2 has the 2 trees along that alignment.
Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Nope. Okay, thank you, sir. We have no speakers on this item, so we'll take it into committee. Your thoughts?
I can
Mehdi?
talk. Yes. I personally don't have any issue with the requested variances. The only issue is the tree, obviously, but I don't see any way of splitting this property into two with preserving that front tree. I am generally in support of this application because I don't see any way of preserving that tree.
Okay. Jordan?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I've got some concerns with respect to the tree. I think the development, in this case, frankly, the development needs to respond to the existing tree. It's not the opposite. And just because there's no opportunity to, otherwise save the tree doesn't really authorize us to ignore it. I do think there's nothing that could have stopped the applicant from maintaining one of the parking spaces at the rear, and I understand they're trying to sever right through a certain way through the lot, but that's also not, that's also not a fixed consideration. They could have, the lot could be split in a different way, such as to maintain parking on both sides. I also question whether parking really is a requirement on one of the two lots. Could you authorize the consent and have one of the properties without parking? Probably not ideal, but I certainly think that parking could have been, you have parking at the rear, you have parking at the front. There could have perhaps been another way to plan this, such as to be able to maintain both of the mature trees on the subject site.
Great, thanks. I'll just weigh in. I agree. I'm looking at the street in the context of the street. This is a really mature tree. And to replace it with what would inevitably be replaced will take many years to get back to the same. But I think we have to protect our canopy. I tend to agree with Urban Forestry's recommendation on this one that removing this tree would disadvantage the street in this neighborhood. So for me, I can't support this application as before us right now. So I'll look to a member for a motion.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion for refusal.
Oh, Carol, I'm sorry. Did you want to speak? Beg your pardon.
I just want to make sure that they've covered everything. Did you look into putting like a joint parking in the center?
We're in committee. Did you want to ask a question of the agent?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll leave committee. We'll go back out of committee. And if you want to ask your question to the agent now.
I just want to know, did you look into, I can't find the plan where it shows exactly where the tree is, the trees, but did you look into putting parking, joint parking in the center of the two lots so that it wouldn't affect the tree? So that
Through you,
they're
Mr.
not
Chair.
separate,
Yes,
because you got two on the outside. Put them in the center. Put the parking in the center.
Indeed correct. We try many iterations, believe me. I'm pro keeping the trees, but on this particular case, the problem we face is that both trees are aligned with that particular lot. We tried to fit a parking spot at the front, we didn't have the right dimensions. We tried to fit the parking space at the back, and there was not the right dimensions. I do understand that Member Jordan would think that would be possible to divide in a separate, different way. But if we try to sever in a different way, we're gonna now have problems with bigger problems with the areas. So the areas itself for one lot will become even lesser and lesser. So again, every time we try something different, we just make it way worse. And again, just to reiterate, the tree will be gone, yes, indeed, but there is a replantation plan. So it's not that we're going to lose the tree forever. We're going to get new trees. Of course, getting new trees, 3 trees, is not the same as having a mature tree, but there is a replantation plan in action.
Okay, thank you very much. Carol, does that address your question? Okay, we're back in committee. Did you have any comments before we have a motion?
I just want to make one comment that I commend that they're creating more housing by splitting the lot, severing the lot, and creating 2 houses as opposed to 1.
Okay. All right. We'll look for a motion.
Through Mr. Chair, I'll bring a motion to refuse the application. I think that I frankly have concern with the consent. I don't think the lots are severed in a way that protects the urban canopy.
Great, thank you. Motion to refuse by Mr. Jordan. Do I have a seconder? There's no seconder. That motion fails. I'll need another motion.
I can make a motion. I make a motion to approve this application, subject to urban forestry condition. Not the refusal part, but
There are planning conditions and
there is no comment in planning, and also
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, there are
comments from planning. There are
It's
conditions.
through an email, and there are also engineering.
Engineering conditions.
okay. So subject to engineering condition and also planning condition and also urban forestry condition.
Simon, do we need a separate for the consent and for the variances, or all in one?
If the member can just cite it in his motion, this is for the consent and both minor variances.
Great, thanks very much. Do I have a seconder? Okay, seconded by Ms. Martin. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Your application is approved with those conditions, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We move on to item number 3. 335 Elmwood Avenue. This is to construct a new 3-story detached dwelling. Panel has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, an arborist report from Al Miley and Associates, a tree plan, decision matrix from Urban Forestry, an advisory memo from Urban Forestry dated February 26th, a February 29th memo from the agent with a series of proposed changes to the variances, revised plans received February 29th, and community planning staff report dated March the 4th. We have an opposition letter from 333 Elmwood. Okay, do we have the agent online?
We will unmute the agent.
Hello,
Hello, if we could have your name and address, please.
my name is Joe Battaglia, the architect, and my address is 1050 McNichol Avenue, Unit 14 in Scarborough.
Great, thanks very much. We'll need a 5-minute presentation from you, please.
We are proposing a house on Elmwood with the following variances. We're asking for
Before we go, can we just, I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm sorry for interrupting you. But before you get in your presentation, you've made some changes, and we should go through the public notice just so that the panel and the public is aware of the changes you're proposing. So can we go to the public notice?
Yes,
Variance number 1, is that changing?
variance number 1 is reduced from our request of 35% to 32.9% coverage.
Great. Variance number 2?
Variance number 2 is reduced from our request of 10.75 meters in height to 10.4 meters in height.
Okay. Number 3?
We are keeping number 3 as our request of 7.64 as opposed to the required 7.5.
Okay. And number 4?
Number 4, we are keeping the 3 stories.
5.
Number 5, we are reducing the length from 17.98 to 16.93, so we're removing it.
So you're
Completely
eliminating,
because the
you're eliminating
permitted
variance
is
number,
in
you're,
order.
sorry, you're eliminating variance number 5?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Number 6?
Yeah. Number 6, we are keeping the permitted maximum building depth of 19, and we're requesting 19.24. We're keeping our request.
Okay. Number 7?
Number 7, we're eliminating number 7.
Sorry, you're eliminating number 7?
Yeah, we'll just have 4.4 meters, which is what is required.
Okay.
4 square meters.
Number 8?
Number 8 and 9, we are keeping both.
Okay.
Side
Great. Thank you very much. Okay.
request.
If you could give us a short presentation now of your application, that'd be great.
We have been discussing these variance requested that we've requested with the planning staff, and we have reduced our request based on the planning staff recommendations for lot coverage and height, and we feel that it is in keeping with the development of the neighborhood and meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act in regards to planning for a neighborhood that has a streetscape that is compatible with the neighbors.
Okay.
So we ask the committee approve our requests.
Thank you. Panel members, any questions of the agent?
Through you, Mr. Chair, just to confirm, the reduction in lot size, that's mainly, I presume, on account of the building depth being reduced and not the rear platform. Is that correct?
Did you say lot size?
So lot coverage, sorry.
Or yeah. It's based on the planning recommendations. My clients obviously would like a bigger house, but in order to try to compromise and get it approved, we have acquiesced to the requests of the planning department.
Okay. And just to confirm, that is based on a reduction of the building footprint, mainly the length.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, of course, the length, and we eliminated the length requirement because of that.
Okay. That was my question. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Good. Thanks very much. Is Ms. Harrell online?
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Is Ms. Harrell online?
We'll unmute that. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me? Hi. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members.
Good morning. If you could give us your name and address, please.
It's Marie Hurl, 390 Hollywood Avenue.
Great. Thanks very much. Okay, you have up to 5 minutes.
Okay, before we start, is it possible to show the rear elevation of the house, please?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
There it is.
Thank you.
Okay.
I know the gentleman who just spoke earlier made some changes, but I'm going to read my, I'll read my letter as it is because there's still issues. Dear Committee of Adjustment regarding 335 Elmwood Avenue. We are the 4 neighbors whose properties are located behind and beside 335 Elmwood Avenue. The proposed plans are asking for multiple variances to almost all aspects of the building: size, height, lot coverage, setbacks. We are concerned with the cumulative effect of the minor variances in addition to the proposed major variances. These are our concerns. Number 1, they're saying it's a 3-story, not a 2-story. So the application states that, quote, the purpose of the application is to construct a two-story dwelling, end of quote. The Committee of Adjustment, according to the bylaw, deems this a three-story dwelling, and the architect acknowledges this. The bylaw states the maximum allowed is a two-story. This is not a minor variance. The plans as they are drawn up are not accurate, as the levels of the dwellings are labeled incorrectly. According to the Committee of Adjustment, the raised basement is considered the first floor since it is so high above grade. The second floor is the main floor, including the kitchen, living room, and the proposed deck, which we just found out that they're going to be taking it back. The third floor consists of bedrooms. Subsequently, everything is higher, and this creates bylaw issues needing variance for the height and the size of the second story deck. Again, we're not going to worry about that because they've reneged on that. From our homes, without question, the visual view is a three-story home. This consists of a large deck, which again, he's already said he's going to take it back to the 4 meters, so it'll be within the bylaw. But even within the bylaw, it's approximately 12 feet above grade. The second issue, the deck height. The proposed deck, which they have, even though it's smaller, becomes an elevated outdoor living space that is on display for us. But they've, again, I don't need to read this again, but still, it's the height that's the issue here. The deck height, the height of the whole building, and will substantiate the likelihood of noise concerns of privacy. Noise and sounds will carry much more at this height. The deck at this height will greatly affect our privacy. The deck height is 12 feet above grade, making it excessively high, even well above a privacy fence. An average person who's 5 foot or even to 6 feet tall, standing on the deck would be 17 to 18 feet above grade, almost 20 feet above the ground, viewing over our properties. From their view, from their deck view, they would overlook our backyards, our living space, our bedrooms, living rooms, washrooms, and kitchens, again, greatly affecting our personal space and quality of life. The deck size, I mentioned about the deck size that they had put in, that it was more than 5 times what the bylaw allows. But because I've just heard that they're no longer asking for that, I don't really need to refer to this section of it. The concern is also that the number 2, the height of the building was from 10 meters to 10.75 meters, again, affecting our privacy and enjoyment of our properties. Now, item number 5, pushing the 17 meters to 17.96, almost 18 meters, continues to feed the same concerns already mentioned. Not in the letter that I sent in yesterday. I'd also like to, we'd also like to express concern that the runoff from the subject property will not negatively impact any of the neighboring properties. Overall, some of these are not minor variances, and when accumulated, it's the accumulation of them all that contribute to greatly affecting our privacy and quality of life in our homes. Sincerely, Marie Hurl, 390 Hollywood Avenue, Gilda Aris, 392 Hollywood Avenue, John Wright, 394 Hollywood Avenue, and Stella Liu, 333 Elmwood Avenue. I also wanted to just say that the ceiling height for the first floor, which is, they refer to it as the basement, but it's the first floor and everybody agrees it's the first floor, is 11 feet. That's really tall for a, quote, first floor or basement, whatever they want to call it. The second story is 10 feet, and then the third floor is 9 feet. The interior rooms' heights are excessively high.
Ms. Burrell, I'm just going to ask you to wrap up, please.
Okay. I can wrap up right now. Basically, they're not following the bylaws sufficiently enough.
Great. Thank you very much. Panel, any questions? Okay. Thank you very much. We have the agent back.
Hello.
Hi, if you could address some of the concerns that you've heard, please.
Well, as I said, we are reducing the deck or the platform to 4 square meters, which is permitted. So we're not, and she mentioned that it was removed anyways. The heights of rooms, I don't know if those have anything to do with the committee. Obviously, the main point of contention is that it's a three-story house, which is a variance. But we can't really change that because my clients need the extra space. The question of privacy is a function of the depth of the house as well, because the house now, we reduced it in depth so it doesn't go farther towards the houses to the rear, so that it is a better situation than the previous design. So we've tried to compromise and achieve something that is acceptable to our clients and hopefully acceptable to the committee. I don't know if there's anything else I can say.
Okay, thank you very much. Panel, any questions? Okay, thank you very much. We will go into committee on this one. Thoughts, comments? Ready?
Yeah, I can. I appreciate the applicant make some changes. I think the changes the applicant made already address most of the concern of the neighbor. I think I was really concerned about that rear deck and overlooking, and also the building length, which are both being removed. And also the height and number of the story that are that I understand it's a definition of zoning bylaw, so the basement is considered as first floor, but since the height is maintained, I don't have any concern about that too, so I am supporting this application.
Okay, anyone else? Do you want to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve this application with the revision that the applicant made. So variance number 1, lot coverage to be reduced from 35% to 32.9%, height to be reduced to 10.4 meters, variance number 4 to be removed, variance number 5 to be removed, and variance number 7 also to be removed, and also subject to forestry memo and staff planning memo.
A point of clarity, I think I heard the applicant say that they wanted to keep variance number 4.
Yes.
Sorry, yes. So variance number 2 is being removed, so the height. Yes.
No.
No
It's
conditions.
been reduced, sorry.
I think you went through,
Yeah, it's been reduced from 10.75 to 10.4, but the 3-story remains, which is now variance number 4.
okay, there are conditions, forestry conditions?
Forestry condition and planning staff condition,
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are no planning conditions in the staff report.
just urban forestry.
Okay. Urban forestry, can we just amend the purpose to have it state that it's a 3-story rather than a 2-story? Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. All right, we have a motion to approve this application subject to the conditions as stated. Do I have a seconder? Okay, Carol, all in favor? That's approved. Your application is approved, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, bye-bye.
We move on to item number 4, which is 17 MACNAUGHTON Road. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling. The committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, an arborist report from Lakeshore Tree Services, an urban forestry memo, memo from community planning staff report dated February 29th, memo from Transportation Services dated February 29th, supporting material from the agent, and a shadow study. We have correspondence and support, 9 form letters from 2, 7, 16, 20, 24 MACNAUGHTON, 20 Sharon Drive, 34 Cuthberts Road, and 63 McCrae Drive, and 97 Hannah Road. We have correspondence in opposition from 29 MACNAUGHTON, from the Leaside Residents Association, and from 28 MACNAUGHTON. Do we have the agent with us?
Yes, my name is Joe Dome, 133 Torresdale Avenue, agent for the owner.
Great, thank you very much. If we could have a presentation on this one, please.
Yes, the owners would like to construct a new two-story dwelling on a corner lot to accommodate their growing needs. They consider this to be their forever home to raise their family, and they also both work from home. And then the challenge here was really to have a design that works within the existing lot constraints, balancing design elements to mitigate impact. And it would be extremely difficult to avoid triggering a number of variances to create a necessary dwelling. We have worked extensively with planning staff and have made many revisions exactly in accordance with their recommendations that are reflected in the drawings before you today. Planning staff note in their report on file that the proposal is consistent with the existing pattern of development in the neighborhood. And there are 12 variances requested. Variances number 1 and 6 referred to the front yard setback of 5.04 meters and the side yard setbacks of 0.19 meters on the north side and 0.57 meters on the south side. An important point of clarification here is that the exterior lot line narrows toward the front of the property, while the front lot line is also angled, widening the front yard setback to 5.49 meters on the southwest corner. There are a number of dwellings with similar decreases to front yard setback. If I could refer to the document titled Supporting Materials, pages 3 and 4, please. Yes, yes, that's correct. Pages 3 and 4 show a photo and an overhead view of 169 Bessborough Drive at the corner of Bessborough and Millwood Road, just 140 meters to the southeast. This is a large, full two-story massing that extends closer to Millwood than the neighboring dwellings. And to get back to the site plan, the interior side yard setback is consistent with the setback of the existing dwelling and is common in the area, and 15 MACNAUGHTON, the south adjacent neighbor, does have a closer setback. On the exterior side, given that the lot line narrows, the exterior side yard setback only applies to a small corner of the second floor over the covered porch, while the setbacks measured at the front and the rear of the dwelling are 1.05 meters and 1.19 meters respectively. However, the setback at the rear actually widens further to 2.41 meters to the first story. The different setbacks, adequate space on the boulevard portion of the yard, and use of different materials on the main walls help to visually break up massing. The proposed lot coverage of 39.97% and the eave setback variance is also affected by the angle of the lot lines. And a lot coverage of 40% and under is common. Variance number 8 refers to the length of 19 meters. This is significantly mitigated by the fact that it only applies to the main floor, while the second floor has been significantly stepped back to a length of 16 meters, which makes it not extend as far as 15 MACNAUGHTON's rear wall. Another aspect to consider is that 9 MACNAUGHTON Road was approved for an 18-meter full two-story length with no step back, whereas the 16-meter second floor, 1 meter less than the bylaw, helps to reduce impact that's proposed today. And also point to page 2 on the supporting materials doc. Yes. Yes, this shows 724 Millwood Road, also just 140 meters to the south at the corner of MACNAUGHTON and Millwood. And this is an existing dwelling, as you can see, a full two-story massing, occupies a greater length than the proposal. And variances 4 and 12 refer to the proposed height of 9.05 meters and main wall height of 7.38 meters. For the overall height, it also applies to a smaller portion of the roof, given the reduction in length for the second floor. Could you please bring up page 1 of the supporting materials, just one higher? Yes. Here you can see the exterior side elevation. The shaded area at the very top of the roof shows the portion that the bylaw is actually requesting above the as of right height, and there is an orange or a yellow dotted line as well there that indicates the height, the existing height of 15 MACNAUGHTON. And due to the grading on the street, 9 MACNAUGHTON, you can see actually on the street view and the overhead map that 9 MACNAUGHTON would basically be a similar height, given that it already appears to be higher than 15 MACNAUGHTON.
Mr. Dome, I'm going to ask you to wrap up, please.
Yes. Yes, variance number 9 refers to the proposed driveway width of 6 meters. We're aware of the transportation staff comments, and important consideration here is that 190 Bessborough, which is right behind the subject property along Field Avenue, their driveway is also 6 meters, which would be so right next to the proposed driveway, and this would be consistent with the existing conditions along Field Avenue. And then furthermore, urban forestry has no issues attaching a standard condition. The owners have worked very hard to reach out to their neighbors, have received 8 form letters of support on file, and many more residents also communicated they had no objections. We have read the comments by the Leaside Residents Association. We would respectfully disagree with their views. This is why we worked so hard with planning staff to
Okay,
find the
Mr.
correct
Dome,
balance.
I'm just going to cut you off there. We'll get an opportunity to hear from you again. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, do we have, is Mr. Hamlin online? No?
Through you, Mr. Chair, they've indicated they don't wish to speak.
Great, thanks very much. And do we have the Ratepayers Association?
Hello?
Mr. Cattell?
Yes. Mr. Yes, I'm pleased to be here this morning.
If you could just, sorry, if you could just give us your full name and your address. I think you're representing the ratepayers today.
Jeff Cattell, yes. I'm co-president of the Leaside Residents Association. We have an address on Bayview Avenue, 1601.
Great, thanks.
We are opposed to this application. Because of the number of variances and some of the features of the design. As you know, there are 12 variances listed, but in fact, there are 15 variances here because the buildings department, in doing their assessment, grouped the variances in 3 cases. So in fact, there's an enormous number of variances, very unusual to find this number of variances. First of all, the agent talked about the front yard setback. It's only 5 meters, whereas the bylaw requires 6.89. That's 2 meters less. And you saw from the plan there that basically this is a very prominent location. It's at the intersection of the MACNAUGHTON and Field Avenue. So, and it's also physically high. It sits high. There's a slope from the street up to the house on the field side, and so the overextension of this building onto MACNAUGHTON will be prominent, and there's no reason why it cannot respect the street setback, as you see from the neighboring property there. It'll be noticeably forward from the other homes on the street. The front entrance will be much higher than the dwellings along the street. The platforms, the maximum building height will tower over the existing homes at 9.05 meters. The bylaw is 8.5 meters. The FSI is increased from 0.6, which is the bylaw, to 0.67. That's 11% over permitted. So this house is large. The side yard setback, as I said, there are in fact 15 variances, not 12. And one of the reasons is that there's side yard setback not on one side, but on both sides, on the north side and on the south side. So access to and from the front to the backyard will be difficult on the south side of the building. the lot coverage, almost everything coming to the committee in Leaside respects the lot coverage. We are a green and a tree community, and a green. In fact, they're requesting here 40% lot coverage, whereas the bylaw is 35%. This is very unusual to exceed the lot coverage. The building length as 19 meters. We looked at one previously that was 18 meters. This is 2 meters longer. The excessive length contributes to the front yard setback concern and blocks the views and sunlight of the adjacent neighbor. The driveway width is 6 meters, whereas the bylaw is 4.88. Again, a double driveway, which does not fit with the character of the streets of Leaside. There's very few double driveways in Leaside. It was designed at a time when there weren't too many cars around, some but not 2 or 3 cars per home. A platform encroachment, that's a major variance. And again, the height of the side walls, they've only counted 1 variance. In fact, there were 2 variances there. The height, 7 meters required and 7.38 being requested. The major variance, the dwelling will appear bulky and boxy, and will be very prominent on the street. By reducing some of these variances, we could get a much improved result for the street and for this very important part of Leaside. It's too large for the lot. It's not in keeping with the Leaside character guidelines, does not meet the intent of the existing zoning bylaws and the official plan, and does not meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act for approval of minor variances. We request that the application be denied. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Panel, any questions? Okay, no questions. If we could have the agent back, please.
Yes.
Hello, can you address some of the concerns you just heard?
Yes, and we do respectfully consider these points. We understand there are a number of variances requested, but due to the lot, it would be very difficult to, as I mentioned before, to build the appropriate dwelling that the owners would need for their livability without triggering these variances. And it was a real balance. We disagree with the contention that there aren't examples in the nearby area for nearly every one of those examples and variances. There are plenty of examples nearby, and we've also sent this over to planning staff, and planning staff have considered that. And as far as the driveway is concerned, right next door, it's the exact same driveway width. And also another property close by also has an even larger width, I believe 22 feet. It's really, as far as the rear deck privacy, I heard that mentioned as well. I also note 15 MACNAUGHTON has an elevated second-story balcony, which overlooks the rear yard. And so, there really aren't any privacy conditions that would be impactful here with this proposal. It's really just for the examples shown in the supporting documents, I think, show existing built form that is very close by, as on corner lots within 140 meters away, that have larger impacts. If you can look at the side views of those properties and those dwellings compared to the elevation of the proposed dwelling, I think you can see that, given the step back for the second story being under the bylaw 16 meters, the height only applying to the smaller portion of the roof, and also due to the grading as it goes along to the south of MACNAUGHTON, the other dwellings, including 9 MACNAUGHTON, which has that full 18-meter length on both floors. So that height would be relatively similar to this height, but it would extend over a longer distance. So we feel that all the design features and the breakup of massing and those really help to mitigate impact. And there are a lot of neighbors, and I understand the resident association and the other letter that is on file that they would be opposed, but really a large portion of the neighbors have no concerns with the proposal.
Great, thank you. Panel, any questions? No questions? So just to clarify, Planning or Transportation Services is recommending that we deny the variance for the driveway width. Your view is you'd like to keep that?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you, sir. We will go into committee. Panel, comments, thoughts? Jordan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will agree. There's quite a few variances here. But I will say, very broadly speaking, certainly quantitatively, the increase is minimal. I did have some concern with variance 9 concerning the driveway. I would agree with the Residents Association representative. I think this neighborhood is characteristic of the prevailing form in the area is a single car driveway. So I have issue with variance 9, but all the other variances with respect to the building itself, I think meet the 4 tests.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Mehdi?
Yeah, I also struggle to approve that the variance in regard with the driveway width. I think it's not within the neighborhood characteristics. There's no soft yard landscaping variance, but still, I'm not supporting that variance.
Okay. All right, I'll need a motion.
I just, if I may, I just might also note that the adjacent property, I did recognize they do have a wider driveway, but it's a bit of a different condition. The driveway it's a detached building that's all kind of off to the side, and while I do recognize the condition is there, I really have to look at the prevailing character within the area, I think, which is more akin to a single driveway. So with that said, I'd like to make a motion to approve the subject application in part, all of the variances with a refusal of variance number 9 relating to the width of the proposed driveway. Also noting that there is an urban forestry condition number 1, as well as tying the recommendations from community planning, as well as tying the conditions from transportation.
So the transportation condition is met by removing the variance? For the
I
driveway?
thank you for catching that. You're right. Yes. Yeah. So we wouldn't need to include a condition of transportation, but community planning and urban forestry number 1.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Allison to approve, subject to conditions and removal or refusal of variance number 9. Do I have a seconder?
Second that.
Mehdi? All in favor? Okay, you have your approval, subject to those conditions, with the exception of variance number 9. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we move on to item number 5.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the agent is in person.
Thank you very much. 372 St. Clements Avenue. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling. The committee has before it a copy of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a memo from Transportation Services dated February 29th, presentation materials from the agent, community planning staff report dated February 23rd, an arborist report from Bright Leaf, and a tree protection bylaw declaration. There are letters of opposition from 1170 Avenue Road, 370, 372, 374, 376, 378, 380, 384, 390, 392 St. Clements Avenue, 405, 407, 409 Briar Hill Ave, and Max Klein, who didn't provide an address. There is also a letter in opposition from the Avenue Road Residents and Community Association. So, welcome, sir.
Good morning. My name is Tay Rook. I'm the planner for the owners of the property at 372 St. Clements Avenue.
Great, thank you very much. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you, sir. The variances before you today relate to the construction of a new dwelling on 372 St. Clements Avenue. There are variances related to the building overall height, main wall heights, the FSI, the number of platforms at the rear, the area of the platform at the rear, the front platform height, which is the same as variance number 10, the pedestrian entrance height, in addition to the width of stairs at the front. If you go to the presentation slides that I provided, you'll see well, I'll actually start with the building height variances, and that's be slide number 10. What you have is a variance of 10.61 meters for the overall height of the dwelling, and that relates to that green sliver that's on the screen before you. From an overall perspective and from a massing perspective, it is a pitched roof and it's limited to that side area. And if you go to the side elevation, which is the second last slide, you'll note that the front and the rear of the roof lines are recessed from the front and rear walls. And the actual dwelling length for that portion where the roof is located is 16.78 meters. If you go to the pictures that I provided, which would begin from we'll start with slides number 4. What you have is along St. Clements are existing dwellings and new dwellings that have similar type of roof lines or heights of similar character and nature than what's being proposed, whether it be in form of a slope roof or a mansard roof, flat roofs. And this is very consistent which is characteristic of this neighborhood. This is found on St. Clements, as you can see on that slide. And if you go to the next slide, also along Castlefield, which is the street to the south, and also along Briar Hill, if you go to the next slides. So there's numerous examples of building heights where you have older homes that either have additions on top that were constructed through renovations or through new constructions, similar to what's being proposed on property. As it relates to the building length, and if you go to we'll go to the site plan first, which is the 9th slide. You'll note that there's an area that I've highlighted in green, and that relates to the deck area at the rear. And what that is that if you go to the side elevation, second last slides, you'll notice that there is a green highlighted area to the left. What that is that there's livable space underneath the platform located at the rear yard. As a result of that, the bylaw defines that to be the rear main wall, and that results in the variance of 19.66 for building length and 19.80 for building depth. However, when you look at the building, if there was no living space in that green hatched area, building length would not be calculated for that area, and the actual building length itself would be 16.78 meters as indicated by 76 meters as indicated by the line above. So you have a building that's consistent in terms of the rear walls with adjacent dwellings that would be considered under the bylaw if there was no living space. And if there was no living space within that area, it would look exactly the same, and no one would be the wiser whether or not if it's considered livable, whether or not it be counted as building length or building depth. So I would submit to you that it's a bit technical in nature. With regards to FSI, 0.95 is being proposed, whereas 0.6 is required. And what you find is that this was a result of the bylaw being amended, I believe last year, with regards to how the basement is calculated as part of the FSI. In this particular, the bylaw reads in that the basement needs to have a floor that is approximately 4.5 meters below established grade in order to be considered basement. You'll note that in various other examples throughout the area, as shown in the pictures, you have houses similar in terms of height and similar in terms of massing that would have, at that time, would have been not been calculated as part of the FSI, the floor area of the basement, and would be considered as a basement. As a result of the change, that area where the green hashed area is, that level is calculated as part of FSI and results in the 0.95. However, if that area wasn't calculated, the FSI would be 0.66, which is more than consistent. And if you go back to the area context map, which is the first slide, you'll note that properties that have been highlighted in green, Those are actually properties that reflect the 0.9 or greater in terms of FSIs that are found in the area. However, if you were to consider without the basement, and in addition to the 0.66 that I submitted to you, the actual houses in the area would be more, the actual the highlighted areas in terms of homes on that map would be significantly larger. With regards to the number of platforms, once again, this is a reason.
I'm just going to ask you to wrap up,
Yes,
if
sir.
you would please.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Thank you.
So with regards to the platform at the rear, once again, it's technical in nature because the first floor the basement is being considered the first floor, and the main level is considered the second. If once again, if this is somewhat characteristic and this is technical in nature, and also creates a variance related to the area of the deck. With regards to the front platform, I would submit to you quantitative and qualitative is very minor in nature. It's indiscernible from the streetscape. Those are my submissions at this time. I know there's probably other people speaking to this matter, and I'll address them at that time.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Panel, any questions of the speaker? One question, I noticed in the transportation report that they refer to the application to legalize. Is this already under construction?
No, sir. There's no construction at this time. And with regards to the parking situation, we will have an integral garage, so the parking will be created, will be internal to the dwelling. And we have no issues with those conditions from transportation.
Thanks very much. Simon, I just noted the transportation, sorry, Simon? I would just note that the transportation report makes reference to the application is proposed to legalize and maintain new dwelling currently under construction. So we'll just make a note of that. The applicant has indicated that there is no construction underway.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you very much, sir. Okay, do we have Mr. Roberts? No, yeah, he'll take the podium. Thanks very much. Good morning. Great, thank you very much. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Want me to start again?
There, yeah, sure.
Jonathan Roberts, 370 St. Clements Avenue. I'm directly next to the subject property. So I was approached on Sunday, February the 18th by the owners of the subject property, 372, that they were going to be rebuilding their house. The current house was to be demolished, a new house erected, and that would require only a minor variance to the zoning plan. I was provided with a plan for the new construction. Upon investigation, my wife and I determined that the new construction would be huge and interfere with their enjoyment of our yard, our deck space, and our home in general. The proposed development is attractive, I admit that. And yet it is seeking several variances, each in its own right minor. But when taken as a whole, dramatic, and is pushing the intended boundaries of the city plan. The variances range from 9 centimeters for the front steps to 2.6 meters for the length of the building. Now, individually, I have no issues with any of these except for the impression upon me as to the height of the whole construction. The cumulative result of the minor variances is that the floor space ratio for the proposed development is 158% of the plan in a neighborhood which has been designated as 60%. So in cumulative effect of that, this is excessive and pushes beyond the boundaries of the city plan. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, sir. Panel, any questions of the speaker? Thank you very much for coming down. Okay, we don't have any other speakers. We're good? Sir, if you wanted to come back and respond to that.
Sure, sir. As Mr. Roberts indicated, there are numerous variances related to this proposal. However, take into consideration the fact that through the pictures that I've submitted to you and through the exhibits that I provided, the variances related to building height, once again, is very minor in nature. It's very consistent with other dwellings in the area. As shown in the individual housing pictures that I have provided, it's related to a sliver along the top. In addition, that roof line has been recessed back from the front and rear walls. So the massing and the overall impact of that dwelling is more than consistent, is more than acceptable from a bylaw perspective and from a neighborhood perspective. As it relates to the length variance, once again, somewhat technical in nature. That green hashed area at the rear portion on the side elevation includes living space, and as a result of that, that gets calculated as part of building length. If that area wasn't living space, it would look exactly the same, and the bylaw would not be, a variance related to building length and building depth would not be required. As relates to the FSI, once again, this is a result of the changes to the bylaw that was made last year. However, prior to that, houses similar to what's being proposed within this neighborhood from an immediate and from a broader context have been approved. It's similar in terms of nature. It's no way overmassing or overdevelopment of the property. Planning staff have reviewed the application. They only require that if the committee decides to approve this application, that it be tied to the front and side elevations, which we have no concerns with. Urban forestry has no concerns. Transportation had no concerns. And from a individual and cumulative perspective, this is a meritorious application. The variances from a streetscape perspective and from a overall context perspective and whether or not if this application fits is more than appropriate. And if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, sir. Questions, May?
Yes, I have a question. You mentioned that variance number 4 is technical. Can you speak to that? Because I don't believe it's technical. You basically building underneath the deck, and I see this variance hand in hand with variance number 8, that is the area of the platform. So basically, if you didn't have variance number 4, you could have lowered that deck, and you didn't have variance number 8. Can you speak to that, please?
So if you'll note that the basement is actually close to established grade if you look at the elevation, and then the main level where the kitchen and living room space is located is elevated. That's why you have the front steps going up to the main doors. So that basement at the rear of the site, so you'll see that on the left, on the right, that's where the left is basically the deck. So that is the basement that extends outwards. Regardless of whether or not if the basement is there or not, or what's considered a basement, the client would still need some sort of access to the rear yard from the actual, I'll call it the first floor, the main level, to get down into the rear yard. So from a typical perspective, what you have is that if there was no living space under there, there wouldn't be any variances related to building length and building depth. So, but that structure or that deck would still be there because they would need access from their main level towards their rear yard.
Sorry to interrupt you, but that could be lowered. The deck could be
No,
lowered.
well, so that would, how do I do this? So the basement is the first level, right?
I understand that.
So if you were to lower you wouldn't have a basement in that case, if you're suggesting.
That's exactly my point.
And so it's
So
typical.
you're building underneath your deck, so you couldn't lower your deck, so your deck is 1 story high.
So, sir, but you would still have to have access out from the main level. So you would still have a platform there.
Yeah, it could be like a smaller deck and then step down. And you don't
But
have
I would
variance number
submit to you, it's somewhat technical in nature because of the fact that the ground level, which is the basement, is being considered the first floor. And if you look at other houses in the area, you have the first floor being the ground level, which would be considered a basement at this time, but previously it was considered a basement. Now it's considered the first floor. And as a result of that, that's why you're getting the FSI number at 0.95, in addition to the fact that you have this variance related to the rear deck for the lot area and the location of it being the number of decks. You'll note that on the second level at the rear, at the rear. Off the bedroom, there's somewhat of a Juliet balcony at the rear. So if you look on the side, if you go to the side elevation, on the right, so you have a slight Juliet balcony off of the bedroom on, well, I'll call the second floor, and then you have the main deck. Because the fact that the basement is considered the first floor, that's what's causing this variances related to area of the deck and also building length. So it is technical in nature.
Okay, thank you very much. Mehdi, does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Jordan?
Thank you. Just to confirm, the door sill elevation, existing to proposed, are you raising the overall door sill elevation of the proposed building versus what's there?
So if you look at the first picture of the dwelling, the second picture of the slides that I provided, you'll see the front elevation of the dwelling. It's very consistent with the actual, from the front entrance perspective. So it's already elevated. So you're elevated walking up towards the door. If you go to the second slide. Sorry, third slide, pardon me. So you'll see that first picture, the white house there, that's the existing dwelling. You're walking up, it's approximately 1.2, 1.29 approximately, so it's very similar.
It's similar?
Yes.
Okay. And then concerning the variances for the side main wall height, there's two.
Yes.
If we could just pull up the elevation drawings, I just want to, I want to understand specifically what part of the built form is triggering those two variances on the side main wall.
Sure, if you go to the side elevation.
I'm looking for that 8.93 meter.
Guys, are we bringing up the elevation?
The side elevation? Yes, sir. So you'll see a dimension line on the left. Sorry, if you go to the next one, the last slide. On the left, there's a dimension line going vertical. That's 8.625 meters from established grade. So it's slightly above that portion. So about 30 centimeters. So to the underside of the soffit.
I'm trying to understand.
To the top of the parapet?
To the parapet, sorry,
Yeah,
pardon
it's
me.
the parapet, okay.
Yes, pardon me.
So you've got it there, right, Jordan?
Okay.
So it's related, sorry, yeah.
So it's related to the, which elevation drawing should I be looking at?
That is the, oh gosh. That is the east elevation.
East
drawing
elevation, okay.
A8.
And the marker is, it's the line that is just before the porch?
Correct. So there's a vertical line going up from the ground all the way to the underside of the sill. But so the 8.9 number would come to the top of the parapet of that portion.
I understand. So it's the parapet. So the dimension's actually not on the drawing?
Yes, sir. That's typical. The architect did it to the bottom of the sill.
Okay. Very good. Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much. I'm going to beg your indulgence, sir.
Sure.
We have a late individual who would like to speak to this item, so I know sort of throwing protocol out the window here a little bit, but if you wouldn't mind indulging us, and if there's someone online.
Yes, my name is Chris Chigazia from 374 St. Clements. I actually signed up to speak 2 weeks ago and received the bridge today. I'm not sure why it wasn't included in the schedule. And then I had to kind of call in and be inserted. Sorry
All right,
about that.
sir. So no worries. You've got 5 minutes if you want to share with your thoughts with the panel.
Okay, great. I'm speaking on behalf of my parents and 10 immediate neighbors as a spokesperson. My parents are out of the country at the moment and are unfortunately not able to be here and don't have a computer. We became aware of the application through the homeowners at 372 St. Clements by phone on February 17th. We have reached out via email to the homeowners to share concerns using the email address on the application form, but not heard back from them. There are 15 letters of objection before you. This includes three from one household, 376 St. Clements, so we have 12 households represented. Our concerns of the proposal focus on 4 variances and the tree protection zone. Overall, these requests for variance are not minor in nature. I looked through the images in the supporting materials that were submitted on March 1st and reviewed the houses in the slides. We don't agree that the houses that were selected are relevant to our key concerns. Some of the homes show traditional homes or new builds with an addition of a 3rd floor. The way the floor relates to the front and back is unchanged to the original house. We have no problem with that. We understand that homeowners need more space, and we support that. Similarly, some of the homes show increased length, which we are sympathetic to and support. Some of the other examples are new houses with a similar layout to the applicant, with a raised 2nd floor living level above the garage. Due to the slope of those streets, Roselawn, Briarhill, and Castlefield, that 2nd floor living level is only a few steps above the rear yard. The height of the platforms at 372 St. Clements is not technical in nature and St. Clements doesn't have a slope, and the 2nd floor living level of this application is raised high above the backyard. Even with privacy screens, the view off the back is going to be straight down into the neighbors' yards right over their fences. So more specifically, variances 2 and 3, the proposed exterior main wall height is 1.43 meters above the allowable. This is resulting in a taller house than the neighboring with a convoluted roof design that will present from the street with a small flat roof and small mansard. Variances 7 and 8, specifically, the proposed number and the size of rear platforms is excessive. The proposed size of the 2nd floor patio is 19.23 square meters larger than the permitted, which is 5.83 the allowable size. It will result in a complete loss of privacy in our backyard, as the proposed home's back patio will be hovering over our backyard at the height of our 2nd level. On our street, houses are relatively close together, but the consistency of the height of the main floors means that each of our rear decks is at the same height, and we're able to use our rear decks and gardens with privacy. The variance destroys our ability to enjoy our backyard in privacy, as we have for 40 years. Even with privacy screens, the view off the back is going to be going straight into the neighboring backyards, right over their fences. This is why the concern is so high, as expressed in the letters from all the adjacent properties, including those on Briarhill behind the applicant. The tree protection zone. The application also requests the removal and injury of several trees. We note that the design of the driveway was modified at the request of Urban Forestry to minimize damage to the large and very mature city tree on the boulevard. The portion of the driveway on the city boulevard is still proposed to be widened towards the tree, necessitating an injury permit and potentially causing its destruction. This is unacceptable to us. Trees are essential in maintaining the beauty of our community. So ultimately, the Committee of Adjustments is here to apply 4 tests. The proposed variances are not minor. The number requested are excessive. The proposal is not desirable nor appropriate for the site and its neighboring community. New houses of the type being proposed have changed, some might even say destroyed, the character of streets just to the north of us, including Melrose, Woburn, and Glengarry. The general intent of the zoning bylaw is to encourage 2.5-story houses with their first floor at or below 1.2 meters above grade. The proposal has been designed without respecting this and without respecting the nature of our community. The proposal does not meet the intent of the official plan, and that it does not respect and reinforce the character of the neighborhood. In fact, it seeks to subvert that character by introducing a new housing typology that is inappropriate and unwelcome to our street. And I would argue to the representative here of the applicant that the proposals are not technical in nature for variance.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. Panel, any questions of the speaker? Okay, thank you very much. We could have you back, sir, and perhaps you could just take a couple of minutes to respond to those concerns.
Sure. Not to repeat myself, I think a lot of the concerns were similar. But once again, the variances related to building length and depth is technical in nature because there's living space under that deck. That causes the variances related to those 2 variances. If there was no living space, it would look exactly the same and no variances would be required. The principal house itself is 16.78 meters and the bylaw permits 17, so the house itself is under the bylaw requirements. The The nature of the dwelling itself with the integral garage and the fact that the main level has been elevated slightly results in a deck that is considered to be a second floor deck, whereas in a traditional sense, it would be considered the main deck. And that's why I say it's technical in nature, the variance. If the basement was considered a basement, no variance is related to the number of platforms at the rear or the area for the platform at the rear would be required. And once again, you saw in the pictures that I provided, there are similar houses in terms of massing, heights, and the way they present to the actual streetscape itself that is consistent with what's being proposed on this particular property. In terms of the FSI, once again, due to the nature of the fact that the basement is being calculated as part of FSI, results in a 0.95 number, whereas if the basement, traditionally, if the basement wasn't calculated, it would be a 0.66 house, which is more than consistent, regardless of what the FSI number is, whether if it's considered 0.66 or 0.95, it's more than consistent with what's existing in the neighborhood from a massing perspective, from a height perspective, from a length perspective.
Okay,
Those are my
I think
submissions.
we understand.
Yes, sir.
your-
And just the one thing, urban forestry has no concerns with regards to trees, so I just wanted to say that.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Panel, any questions? None. Thank you very much. All right, we have no further speakers? We're good? Okay, we'll take it into committee. Panel, thoughts, comments? Well, I'll start. I understand the neighbors' concerns and want to thank you for coming in. This is an area that is quite desirable. This is an area where I do know there are some other buildings that are being constructed. I take the agent's point that there are building similar mass in the surrounding neighborhood. These are the kinds of dwellings that, frankly, we're seeing increasingly more right across the city. It is a type of structure that increasingly is being situated on lots that are desirable and desirable neighborhoods. I don't really find the variances collectively to be overly excessive. I take the agent's point about the FSI and the length being related principally to the basement extension in the rear. And that I wouldn't say it's technical in nature, but I do understand the nature of the applications. I think this is a not unreasonable application given the context. There's a school, I think, across the road, so I don't think there's any measurable impact on the neighborhood as a whole. I think it's a supportable application. My only comment might be that I do think there needs to be privacy screening on the balconies. The Juliet on the second story, I think your neighbors have raised concerns about overlook, and so even though it's not in use, I think maybe we could probably put some screening on the sides of the Juliet as well. So if, I don't know if anyone has any additional comments. If anyone wants to make a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would agree with your comments. I had some initial, concern with respect to the overall height and the massing, given the context. But I think what has been presented is actually quite reasonable. That said, I would bring a motion to approve the subject application.
Condition.
Apologize. Yeah, noting that we may have some conditions here.
I have transportation.
Yes, subject to the transportation conditions and.
Planning tie to the elevation.
Yeah, I just find my notes here. Yeah, as well as planning and do we have a standard forestry on this one?
No,
I don't think so.
there was a forestry condition.
Okay. Yeah, subject to transportation. Sorry, and the other was?
Screening.
Screening, yes. I would agree with screening. I think that the application would benefit from privacy screening to a height of 1.5 meters. And
North and, or sorry, the east and west.
it's the east and west sides of the platform at the rear. And as you mentioned, something about the Juliet as well, and as well of for the Juliet balcony.
Okay, motion to approve with those conditions from Mr. Allison. Do I have a seconder?
I second that.
Okay, Mezzi, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming down, sir. Do we need a break? Yes, why don't we take a 10-minute? 10-minute break.
I don't think the parapet was included on that
Say
one.
again?
I don't think the parapet was included. That's what was confusing me on the
Yeah.
side main wall height. Because
Yeah.
it showed 9 point something, but the variance is for 8.93.
Yeah, well, good for you for
But he
catching that.
dashed the line behind, so I'm assuming it's just an architectural detail.
And then they had the mansard roofs, right, which was inset, so.
They love to pull those down on the sides, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It feels like we're going faster, but we're only on number 6. It felt like we were kind of cruising through fairly good, but.
On the next one is number speakers that specific speak.
This is number 6.
They're all the same. They're either agents or owners. So we'll unmute the first one,
Okay.
and we should let them know that.
Well,
If there's
if they're agents, so they have collectively 5 minutes amongst them, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
as we meet them, say, no, I understand.
Because there's no one in opposition, right? This is just basically, this is the commercial property. So imagine. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are back. We're starting with item number 6.
Great,
This
thank you
item
very
has
much.
a number of speakers, but I believe they're all connected.
Great, thank you very much. Item number 6 is 3125 Steel Street East. It's an application seeking relief from parking requirements. The committee has before it a copy of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, cover letter and materials from the agent, traffic analysis from the agent, and a memo from Transportation Services dated February 29th. We have no correspondence on this one. Could we have the agent, please?
Hi, everyone. It's Eva Sampson here with Zenon Radowich from WZMH Architects. Zenon will speak.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank
Hold
you
on,
very much. So,
Just hold on a second. Panel, this is a fairly straightforward application. Does anyone need a presentation?
No.
Okay, we've read the materials. We've got a pretty good idea of what your request is. I don't think we'll need a presentation today. Before we take it into committee, is there anything you would like to share with the panel?
sure. All I wanted to say is that the data center use is something that's very, call it new in Canada, North America, or very new in Canada. And, you know, a lot of the bylaws that are written for industrial building uses never contemplated a data center use. So this issue of finding relief or seeking relief for parking is something that we're experiencing across Canada in every single city and town, because these buildings are very unique. And again, all the bylaws that were written many, many years ago never really contemplated this type of building, although it kind of falls into that industrial building category. So I just kind of want to give you that background, that this is something that we're seeing more and more everywhere. And I think you will see it as well more in the future, because this building type is being built more and more, as you can imagine, for many, many valid reasons. So I just kind of wanted to mention that. And the last thing I just wanted to mention is the actual space in this building that's allocated for people is roughly 6% of the total building area. So the majority of the building is actually housing servers and mechanical, electrical equipment. The people space is very, 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 very small. But also, most importantly, the numbers for parking come from the operators. They operate facilities like this around the world, so they know exactly what they need for these facilities, which are, again, very highly secure. For people to come there, they have to book in advance, etc. So there's a lot of, call it, good documentation and reasoning behind how much parking is required for facilities. It's not just a made-up number.
Great.
So that's kind of what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think the panel would pretty much agree with your assessment. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't catch your name. We got Miss Sampson's, but we didn't catch yours.
I'm her colleague, Zenon Radowich. We're both at the same firm, Zenon Radowich.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we're in committee. Panel, any thoughts or comments or a motion?
Yeah, I can make a
Okay.
motion. Mr. Chair, I think it's a very straightforward application. It's the requested variance is just a parking variance. This is very common, and it's meeting all 4 tests. So I'd like to make a motion to approve. I don't see any condition. Transportation is also in support of the application.
That's great. Motion to approve by Mr. Mazzaniari. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Allison, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to item number 7. 85 Upper Canada Drive. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached with rear deck and rear walkout. Panel has before it a copy of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and comments from Urban Forestry. Again, panel, does anyone need a presentation on this one? Again, okay. Do we have the agent?
Yes.
Can I have your name and address, please?
Good morning, Chairman and committee members. My name is Michael Zhang from Fine Residence Development, located at 280 Sharper Avenue East.
Great, thank you very much, sir. We've read all the material. It's fairly straightforward. We don't really need a presentation. Before we take it into committee, is there anything you'd like to share with the panel?
I think those we only have like 4 minor variances, and those are very really minor things. I think you should get approved.
Okay, great, thank you. Panel, any questions?
Through you, Mr. Chair, of the applicant, I just want to confirm that there's no tree removal in the front yard or the right-of-way with this application. I think the existing tree is going to be maintained.
Yes, the existing tree gonna maintain for the city tree, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're in committee. Comments, thoughts, motion? Ms. Martin?
I can make a motion to approve based on the fact that the variances are minor.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, I was going to note, can we add urban forestry number 1 and 2?
Forestry conditions 1 and 2?
And also to keep the conditions for forestry points 1 and 2.
Great, thank you very much. Motion by Ms. Martin. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Allison, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, have a good day.
We move on to item number 8, which is 47 Coldstream Avenue. This is an application to reconstruct a one-story rear sunroom with a terrace above and add a new side entry stairs with landing. Panel has before a copy of survey of site plan, floor plans, and elevations, email from TRCA dated September 18th, 2023, a tree plan, and a memo from Ravine and Natural Feature Protection dated February 29th. We have 5 form letters in support from Coldstream Avenue. Do we have the agent?
Yes, my name is Jennifer Scholes.
Okay, panel, presentation. Carol, would you like a short presentation? Okay. All right, the panel has, seems like a fairly straightforward application. The panel has read all the material, and we don't really need a presentation on this application today. Before we take it into committee, is there anything you'd like to share with the panel?
It is a straightforward application, and the project is under construction, and we uncovered some structural issues with an existing sunroom, and by having to rebuild it, we've lost our lawfully existing status, and that's what triggered the first couple variances, and then we decided to make some other changes that would benefit the homeowner as described in the documents that you have before you.
Great, thanks very much. I do note that you show some privacy screening on the south side.
Correct.
Okay. Great. Thanks very much. Panel, any questions? No, we're good. Okay, we'll take it into committee. Thoughts? Jordan?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to bring a motion to approve the application. I think the sunroom is well proportioned in relation to the building, and I note that it only extends out only along a portion of the rear main wall. I also think the infill entry section on the north side of the lot is reasonable and presents only a modest increase to the FSI. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Motion to approve. I don't see any conditions from our NIF or any other staff, so approve without condition.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Allison to approve the application, no conditions. A seconder?
I second that.
Okay, Mr. Marziani. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to item number 10, which was deferred.
Mr. Chair,
Wasn't
we're
it
on
deferred?
item number 9.
Sorry, I'm one ahead of everybody.
No problem. So, Mr. Chair, for this item, the agent is in the chambers.
Okay, thank you very much. I apologize. This is item number 9, 45 Suncrest Drive. This is an application to construct a new garden suite. Panel has before it a copy of survey site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a letter from the agent, 5 photographs from the agent, presentation materials from the agent, an arborist report from David Resource Group, comments from Urban Forestry, and a community planning staff report dated February 29th. We have letters of support from 8, 16, and 22 Suncrest, 7 Salonika, and 51 Saintfield. We have a letter in opposition from 34 Salonika Road. Sir, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Francois Abbott. I'm located at 213 Sterling Road, and yeah, I'm the agent for 45 Suncrest Drive. I've also prepared a presentation. If we can open it, I'd love to go through it.
You have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. So once the presentation's open, I can start. That's the one. So we're building we're designing a garden suite. It's a single-story garden suite on helical piles. This family has been on this lot for 20 years. They will be accommodating an aging parent, and this is one way for them to have flexibility and remain in their neighborhood. On this site overview slide, we can see 45 Suncrest is a very large corner lot. Sunnybrook Park exists below to the south. There's a thick band of forest, and that orange rectangle represents the footprint and placement of the garden suite. So if we go to the next slide, it just states, we're trying to create a viable living space on a single story, remain very low in the landscape, protect the adjacent trees, and respect the materials of the neighborhood. Our variances are related to one setback, roof overhang length, and platform size. So I'd like to begin by addressing the setback. When we began designing this garden suite, we assumed that this rear yard was in fact a rear yard, and therefore we went with a 2-meter setback. And to our surprise, in 2003, the previous owner and COA kind of reclassified this rear yard as a front yard. And if we move on to the next slide, this is 45 Suncrest Drive. This is the civic address, the front door, we have 4 parking spaces in a driveway and then 4 in the garage. This is, to me, the front of the house. If we go to the following slide, this is, behind 45 Suncrest. It acts like a backyard in every way I can imagine. If we move on to the next slide, we have Salonika. This is now considered the front of the house somehow. It's a cedar hedge with a fence, and the owners appreciate this privacy. So if we go on to the next slide, we can see the corner. There's nothing going on Salonika for this house. It's considered the front now, but we would like, urban forestry, we would like the committee to allow us to have the 2-meter as a right setback that's, for rear yards. If we go to the next slide, this is the view from Sunnybrook Park with absolutely no foliage in the winter. It's extremely private back there, so we don't have concerns. The next item is roof overhang. So we're going from 30 centimeters to 2 feet, 30 extra centimeters. There's a few practical reasons for this. Water, rain, snow falls further away from the openings. And then in a tiny house, it's nice to be able to step outside, open an umbrella, have your bicycle lean against a structure. It does help a lot. And in terms of massing, from a design point of view, it creates a shadow line around the structure, and that helps that feeling of something low in the landscape. If we go to the following slide, there's the as of right, 4 meters from grade, 30 centimeter overhang construction. We're actually going a little bit lower than that and extending just a teeny tiny bit where absolutely no one can see. The last point is related to platform height. Yeah, on the next slide, exactly there. So we are building on helical piles in an effort to kind of preserve the tree systems that are next to us. That's the goal. Because we're on helical piles, we need 2 steps to get to the ground floor level. So someone coming in from Suncrest would, go up 2 steps and use one of these door swings on the left-hand image. And then someone using kind of the living area that's connected to a small table so family can enjoy a dinner together would go up those 2 steps towards that platform area adjacent to the living room. And that platform area adjacent to the living room is really the only occupiable space. I've kind of connected them in terms of outdoor circulation to avoid going up and down stairs. But that little platform area where there's a little table, it makes a lot of sense for the yard and how the family intends to use the space. It's 18 meters away from a cedar hedge on Salonika. It's, shielded by that forest on Sunnybrook, and the usable space is 15 meters away from an opaque fence to the neighbor at 43. If we continue down, these are kind of some images of the backyard. I read some letters of opposition that were worried about, I think, drainage and things like that. We're building on helical piles next to a forest on a site that slopes maybe at 2% towards trees. I don't see a single issue. We're not really changing anything drainage-wise. And then the final kind of slide is, again, that view from Sunnybrook Park. Certainly in the summer, no one will really feel the presence of this garden suite. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Panel, any questions? Yes, Carol?
So typically you'd have like some sort of a pathway connection from the main house to the garden suite. Are you going to add that in, or is that shown? I didn't see it anywhere.
So we're not really sure how to connect to the main house at the moment. We might have some pavers. The idea is, something very light in the landscape. We don't, we just want to remain. We want the backyard to remain kind of like a green space. That band of forest is the asset of the property. It's very desirable. We're using a material that will become green with time, and we're going to find some kind of design solution that is in line with all this. It's not currently designed.
So they're just going to walk across the lawn?
No, it's not currently. I mean, if they did, it would become a mud path, and maybe we would add some pea stone. But I hope to find a nice solution.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much, sir. Okay, we take it into committee. Panel, any comments? Any?
Yeah, I think it's a well-thought application. I think the requested variance is quite minor, and it's meeting the 4 test. I don't see any major concern. I don't see any comment from planning staff, so I'd like to make a motion to approve it with no condition.
I'll second that.
Do I have a forestry number 2? The forestry plan and a planning condition to tie it to
Oh,
the
sorry,
site plan.
there's a planning, yes, there's an item 1 on the planning condition, so I can add that, I'll add that to the approval condition.
Okay.
And confirm urban forestry number
And
2 as
forestry
well.
number 2, yes.
Yeah, so with the inclusion of those 2 reports or recommendations in those reports, I'll second that.
Great, thank you very much. All in favor? Approved. Thank you very much, sir. I'm not an architect, but it's a very attractive design.
Thank you all very much.
Now, St. Hilda's. Number 10, we deferred this one. Why do I have this in my mind that we deferred it? So we deferred number 10. We move on to item number 11, which is 230 Burnett Avenue. This is an application to construct a new 3-story detached dwelling. Panel has before it a copy of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a revised zoning waiver, revised plans received February 26, 2024, arborist report from Greenprint, arborist and community planning staff report dated February 29th. We have 6 letters.
We put on our waiver. 31 point.
Sorry. We have.
Yes, hello?
Hang on a second. We have 6 form letters from residents on Burnett Avenue. Okay. So, you're the agent, I assume.
Yes, hi. My name is Leo Mestende. I'm the agent for the owners at 230 Burnett Ave.
Hello, Leo.
And basically, we were in discussions with the planning department and have reduced our coverage from 33.64 to 32%. And they were okay with the rest of our application.
Okay,
we did have
on.
signatures
Leo,
from our neighbors.
Leo, hang on a
Yep.
sec. Hang on a sec. So let's just go through the public notice. So you're making a change to
number 2?
Number 2. You're changing it from what to what?
From 33.64 to 32%.
Okay. Are there any other changes?
No other changes. And we're okay with the conditions from the staff report.
Yep. Okay. Is there anything else you want to share with us?
No, just that basically our variants are consistent with what's going on in the area and what's been approved, and I believe it does meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act. And based on meeting the concerns from the Planning Department, I believe this is now a good application.
Okay. Thank you very much. Panel, any questions? Jordan?
Through you, Mr. Chair, given the size and height of the rear platform, I wonder if this application may benefit from some privacy screening?
Leo?
I'm okay with privacy screening.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thanks very much. Okay, we take it into committee. Panel, any comments? Jordan?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think it's a pretty straightforward application. I don't have any major issues or concerns with this. I would agree with the comments and recommendations noted in the community planning report, and I thank both the planner and the applicant for working to make those improvements to the application. I think it's achieved quite a bit of success bringing this application in line with the 4 tests. Therefore, I'd like to make a motion to approve the subject application with the inclusion of a privacy screening on the rear platform on both sides to a height of 1.5 meters, and also attaching to the recommendations noted in the planning staff report.
Right, so the planning report is modifying variance number 2 along the lines that Mr. Massandreas indicated. Do we?
May not need it, actually.
Yeah, I was going
then.
to say,
Yeah.
Simon, do we need to have the condition,
Well,
given that he's amended his application?
We don't need the first part of the staff report, but if you read down further on the staff report,
Yeah, they want.
there is a condition.
There's a condition about rear elevation.
Tie to plan, yep. Okay,
It's the rear elevation, I believe.
thank you very much. Okay,
Yeah, and I believe the first recommendation covers the amended variance as well, so that takes care of that. But staff may want to just to note that this is approval with an amended variance number 2 to 32%.
great. Thanks very much. Motion to approve by Mr. Allison. Do I have a seconder?
I second, Mr.
Ms. Martin seconds. All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We move on to item number 12, which is 6 ANEWEN Drive, which is an application to construct a new second-story addition. The panel has before it a copy of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and comments from Urban Forestry. No letters in support or opposition. Do we have the agent?
Hello?
Hello. Can you
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. I am Khalid Ibrahim. I'm the architect and the agent of this application.
Okay, hang on a sec. Panel, this looks fairly straightforward. Does anyone need a presentation? No, we're okay. Okay, sir, we've read all the information you've submitted. We understand it. We don't need a presentation. Is there anything you'd like to share with us before we take it into committee?
I think I'm okay.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we're in committee. Panel? Seems fairly straightforward. Ready?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. It's pretty straightforward. It's meeting 4 tests, and I'd like to make a motion to approve. There is an urban forestry memo that I want to add as a condition to the approval.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, that's with forestry condition number 3. Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We move on to item number 13. This is 59 Danesbury Avenue. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling and demolish the garage in the rear yard. Panel has before it a copy of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. Revised plans received February 16, 2024. Arborist report from Greenbird Horticultural and supporting material from the agent. We have 1 letter in support from 61 Danesbury Avenue. Do we have the agent?
Yes.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman
is that?
and the committee members.
Okay, panel. This again looks fairly minor and straightforward. Does anyone need a presentation? Eddie? You okay? Carol? Okay. The panel has read all the information you've submitted. We're fairly comfortable with the application.
Mr. Chair, through you, can we please have her name?
Oh, I thought she gave her name, pardon me. Could we have your name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Pamela Pan. My address is 16 Rexford Road, Toronto.
Maybe if you could just give us a very short presentation of your application, please.
Yes, sure. So basically, the proposal is to construct a single-family dwelling with a built-in garage. And working with the property owner, we are trying to create something pleasing and also meeting their family needs. We try to make something, attractive from outside and also practical for the interior use. And we don't want to do massing out, to do a monstrous house without considering of the street landscape. So basically, we've tried hard to make it work and also pleasing architecturally. And we do have 2 supporting letters on both sides. So no objections from all around. So that we can get approval from the committee. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much. Panel, any questions? It looks from the streetscape that there are a number of similar new dwellings constructed on the street and in the neighborhood. Is that correct? Hello? Hello? Are you there?
Hello, seems it's broken. Oh yes, I am. Somehow your voice is broken from time to time.
We're breaking up, are we? Okay, so I'm just trying to get a sense of what you're proposing in context with some of the, looks like other new dwellings that have been constructed on the street and in the general vicinity. I don't think she's hearing me.
Oh, hello? Yes, yes. I can hear you now.
Okay. I'm just trying to get a sense. You're asking for a little bit extra in length and size, so I just want to get a sense that what you're proposing is similar to what we're seeing being built on the street and in the general area.
Yes, and if you can see the supporting material I have provided, I think that was submitted on the February the 27th.
Yep. Yes, we have it.
If you see the page 2.
Yep.
Page 2 on the left is our proposal. On the right is direct neighbor on the right side.
Right.
So basically, that if you say from the garage door, basically the scale is a little bit larger than the next door, but still give you sense that we are mindful of not doing anything, bulky and massive, and meeting the family needs. In the meantime, make it pleasing architecturally on the street. Because of the garage is sticking out, that really, has poses some, the variance of the building length. And also that if you go to see my application drawings, page A3, site plan, page A3.
So are we pulling up her site plan? This is it?
Yes,
It's on the
A3,
screen.
yes. Yeah, A3. So basically, you see that our very front surface of the built-in garage is in line with the next door neighbor, which is new build, number 57. And we in line with the two plus height. So basically, our garage is only, sticking out, but also in line with both neighbors. And that is the variance number 1. And in terms of the item number 5 about all rear exterior main wall required 8.5 meters. Ours is 9.87. And when you read it, it's quite a lot. But if you go to see the page A11. If you say page A11, on the left side, are you there?
Oh, yes, we're
Page?
here.
Yeah, south elevation. On the left side is the main entrance, is the main street. On the right side is the rear. If you see that 9.874 meters is really the very the highest point of the wall, but it is constitute one of the all walls. So basically, if you see the next page, 812, and the rear main wall is only 8.54 meters. So I just wanted to point out this one because this looks really bad, like 9 point some meters.
So your massing's mostly at the front. Can I just ask one further question? There is a large tree out in front of the existing house. Are you planning to keep that or remove it?
So basically, we have applied for we have applied for permit for removing that tree. So basically, this is really in the process, and we will have to work closely with the urban forestry. And ideally, we would like to remove it and plant new tree. It is a private tree and also not in good condition. If you see the arborist
Okay, thank you very much. I do note that there's no forestry conditions on this one, so I presume that will be addressed as you go through the process. Okay, panel, any further questions?
No.
Okay, we're in committee. Thoughts, comments, motion? Eddie?
Yeah, I don't have any particular concern about this application, so I'd like to make a motion to approve. And I don't see any staff condition imposed, so with no condition.
Okay, motion to approve with no conditions, seconder?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I wonder if I may make, or may bring up that whether or not a privacy screen may be warranted on the south side of the platform, given the height of the deck. I realize it'd be a small privacy screen, but I think it might be warranted given the height.
Sure, I can include that in my motion.
Okay, that's which sides?
On the south side.
South side?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
And I'm happy to second that.
Great, thanks very much. Motion to approve and seconded, all in favor? You have your approval with those conditions for screening on the rear platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to item number 14. This is an application to construct a new two-story detached dwelling Panel has before it a copy of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, an email from community planning dated February 27th, an updated zoning notice dated February 23rd, comments from urban forestry, a letter from the councillor, and revised plans received February 26th. We have letters of opposition from 44 and 45 Lorraine Drive and 18 Yorkview Drive. Do we have the agent?
Yes, I'm present.
Hi, could you give us your name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Christina Trenti, located at 188 Alfred Avenue, North York.
Okay, if we could get a short presentation, please.
Sure, can I just quickly address the two changes in the public notice? So we were first, we reduced two of our variances, so the planning department would not have any concerns. As they advised, we reduced the width of our deck to 3.6 meters.
Hold on, I'm just going to stop
And
you
the
there.
coverage was
Sorry, I'm just going to stop you there. If we could just pull up the public notice and you could take us through the variances that you're changing.
Yes, so right here on the screen, variance 2. So the width of the deck, so here being the platform, it used to be 3.96, as you can see, and we reduced it to 3.6 meters, as advised. The second variance that was changed
just to be
was
clear, that's variance number 3.
Oh, yeah, apologies. That was variance number 3.
Okay, so can you just repeat the change, please?
Yes, variance 3, the platform, the deck, was reduced from 3.96 to 3.6 meters.
Okay.
The next one is coverage, so variance 4. At first, we had 34% of the lot area, and then we reduced 33.28% of the lot area.
Okay.
This is it. I can give you a short presentation just explaining the intent
Yes, please.
behind the project. So intent behind this project is to build a multi-generational house for Mr. Lim's family. Can someone kindly, yeah, thank you. So the house itself is divided into 3 units. The basement and ground floor are for Mr. Lim and his wife. The second floor is for his son and his wife, while a small unit that is also on the second floor is for grandson. So all 3 are separated for privacy, also enabling the family to stay together in one house. So this project is essentially a multiplex, 3 units, and we're approaching its design from not only the North York zoning bylaw, but also the new citywide multiplex zoning amendment. This amendment officially permits multiplex in Toronto since 2023 and permits some, and I'm just quoting quickly, zoning variances such as modest increased height and reduced setbacks, where their impacts are deemed to be minor in order to compensate for the loss of living space due to things like thicker insulation, additional stairs, etc. As per the official plan objective, multiplex units are designed to meet the needs of household compositions, such as families with children, multi-generational families, and seniors, as it is in our case, all of the above. Now, with this in mind, we still want to respect the context of the neighborhood, so our variances are very much in line with what is commonly permitted in the area and are actually present in the nearest neighbors. So we have 4 minor variances today. I'll just go through them one by one. The first one is side setbacks. The permitted minimum side yard setbacks are 1.8 meters on each side. We're proposing 1.22 meters on the east side and 1.52 on the west side. As you can see in the plan, the setback encroachments only happen periodically, so not for the whole length of the house. The reason for this variance, could you kindly show the first floor? The reason for this variance is that the width of the house is reduced by not just the garage, but mostly because of the stairs. As you can see, the stairs had to be centered in the middle. It needs to be there to connect all 3 units. and had to be in that location, so we lost it. And to compensate for the loss of that, we needed to widen the front of the house. Actually, the neighboring house, 59 Lorraine, also has the same setbacks. This is just the immediate neighbor to the side, has these same 1.52 setbacks. And it is a detached house, so not a triplex. Next variance is the deck, as mentioned. The platforms are limited to projecting 2.5 meters from the wall, and we're proposing 3.6 meters. The next variance is coverage. The permitted is 30%, and it is common to ask for a few extra percent. In our case, we're proposing 33.28 to make a comfortable space for each unit. We tried to minimize the coverage as much as we could while still maintaining a fair livable area for each unit. You can see that there's nothing excessive in these floor plans. And most importantly, if you look at the site plan, please, you will see that even with this variance, the house is actually shorter than the neighbors still. We only went above 32% because there will be 3 units. So we're just trying to justify the additional units of the multiplex that require a bit more coverage. But you can see it's very much comparable to the neighbors. And the final variance is the height of the side-facing main walls. The permitted height is 7.5 meters, while we're asking for 8. We do not have a height variance. We're only asking for slightly taller main walls to help the ceiling height of the second floor units and for the windows to not be too low to the ground there. This height of the main walls is fairly common. I just wanted to point out, for example, just within the radius of the house, the neighbor directly across the street, 58 Lorraine, has both main walls above 8 meters, so 8.07 on one side, 8.3 on the other side. That is everything. I just wanted to add that no trees will be injured or removed. We do have an arborist secured to oversee the tree protection, and he also did the tree preservation plan as well. The overall design of the house will fit into the surrounding context nicely and will add to the value of the neighborhood. That's everything. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Panel, any questions? Nope. Oh, yes, Jordan?
Just a clarifying question. I think the applicant noted the side yard setback of the adjacent neighbor at number 59. I just would like a little bit of clarification. As per the survey, it looks like they're providing about, if I'm not mistaken, about a 1 point. It looks like they're in compliance. I just wanted to clarify what the applicant meant by a side yard setback as it relates to the neighbor. I think maybe they're referring to the other side yard setback on the with their neighbor. Maybe they can clarify.
Sure. So I was just looking at what was previously permitted by the committee in regards to the immediate neighbors. So there was an approval of, sorry, let me just see, 59 Lorraine, yeah, 1.52 setbacks on each side. It is what it says in the committee approval document. So that's what I was referring to.
Are you registered to speak?
Mr. Chair, I believe they're the owners, but if they had their 5 minutes, I'm hesitant to grant them any more unless the panel has any clarification questions.
I think we'll stick to what your agent has told us, so I think we're probably fine. Thank you very much, sir.
The owner has registered to speak, I believe.
Okay. All right, panel, we are, any further questions? Panel, we're in committee. Comments, thoughts? Well, I'll start. I like this proposal. I think it's a good one. I think this is introducing more rental accommodation into an existing and established neighborhood, which I think is good. I think the variances before us are really quite minor. I don't have any difficulty with what is being proposed. I think it will not have an adverse impact on the neighborhood at all or on the street, and I think it actually will make a positive contribution to the community by introducing more rental accommodation. And I do note that many of the houses on this street are new and the lots are large, so I think it can quite capably accommodate this application. So I will be supporting it. Jordan, can I get you to make a motion?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with your comments. I think I like this application as well. I think it's a good example of a way to integrate multi-residential housing in a neighborhood. And frankly, from the outside, I mean, aside from the extra door, which is actually done quite elegantly, you can't tell it's a multi-unit building. So I think it's actually very successful in that respect. There was a little bit of consideration with respect to the side yard setbacks, but as the agent noted, there is it is not consistently being asked for. The building does kind of pinch in and come out at different points. I'll also acknowledge that the impact of the side yard setback is, I think, lessened by the fact that there's not a lot of building depth or length being proposed here, and they are more or less in line with the neighbors. So I'd be willing to put forward a motion to approve the subject application with the recommendations. Actually, I note that there's no recommendations. Although community planning has commented, they did not provide any recommendations, but I do believe we have the standard urban forestry number three. So approval with
amended application?
2 revisions, yeah.
Right, and thank you for catching it. And with the amended revisions, variance number 3 from 3.96 to 3.6 meters, and variance number 4, 34% lot coverage to 33.28, if I'm not mistaken, and urban forestry number 2.
Before I get a seconder, Simon, do we need to change the purpose to have it reflect as a multiplex?
We can look into that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I have a seconder to the motion.
I second that.
Mehdi? All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much for coming down.
Thank you so much.
We move on to item number 5. Are we done for the morning? Oh.
That's the last application.
We're done.
Well, that brings to a conclusion the morning session. So we will resume at 2 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.